That's the first time we're doing this, so thank you very much for being here. My name is Sonya Saturday. I am a cartoonist who done a strip called The Greatest Thing You Never See in Your Life, and related to the topic of the panel, it's all about me. So it's me and my cats and that sort of thing, and I'm going to go down and introduce each of our panelists. We have a great selection of excellent cartoonists we're going to be talking to. I just want to say if anyone has any questions, please hold them to the end, because we will have a few minutes at the end for audience questions. So, first, I'm going to go to Shuchita Mishra. There she is. This is Shuchi right here. Shuchita Mishra holds an MFA in comics from the California College of the Arts, 2019. She is currently an assistant professor at the School of Art Design at Kennesaw State University, which is in Georgia. Yeah. And in addition to her academic role, she conducts comics and introductory animation workshops in schools across America, across the United States, specifically the United States. Her work as a freelance cartoonist has appeared in the New Yorker's daily shout-out segment. So welcome, Shuchi. Good. On my down, next to Shuchi is Jeff Keane. Jeff was born in 1958. 2 years later, his father, Bill Keane, started chasing him around, begging him to do something funny. So began his career as a cartoon model for Family Circus. After many years with his father's guidance, he now creates that comic, which appears daily in more than 1,200 newspapers worldwide, making it the most widely syndicated panel in America today. Jeff lives in Laguna Hills, California, where he raised 3 cartoon characters of his own that he chased around begging them to do something funny. So the Family Circus keeps going around in circles. Thanks for being here, Jeff. Woo. After Jeff, there we go. Lukey McGarry. The right one? Yep. Was I on the wrong slide for that last one? I'm so sorry, Jeff. Come back, see what hit. My apologies. Lukey McGarry and Jeff, award-winning UK-born, Los Angeles-based cartoonist and animator whose clients range from Mad Magazine to Coachella Festival. And the short and the sweet. Thanks for being here. Let's see. We have Jules Rivera. Yo! That is Jules Rivera. Jules Rivera is a syndicated cartoonist who got her day job by making silly comics on the internet. As it turns out, there are places that hire for that sort of thing. So now her job is making an environmentalist comic, Mark Trail, with King features. When Jules isn't making comics or animation on the internet, she's out surfing or skating. Welcome to Jules. And last but not least, at the end, Eddie deAngelini. Yes, that's the right slide. Thank you. Eddie deAngelini is a longtime comic book fan, and his comic strip Collectors is loosely based on his own life, marriage, and comic collecting obsession. Collectors is a love letter to the pop culture phenomenon of comic books and to all the wives who trip over long boxes all over the house. The comic can be found at collectorscomic.com, as well as in six collected 8 volumes. It's 8 now. 8 collected volumes. Thanks for being here, Eddie. So first, we're going to have a few minutes from Professor Shuchi. She's going to give us a little bit of historical context for about other artists who came before us who have also drawn themselves into their own strips. So we're going to go to Shuchi's thing, and she's going to chat a little bit. This is Shuchita Mishra, assistant professor in comics, Kennesaw State University, Georgia. Take it away, Shuchi.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes,
let me know, Supan.
Alright.
So we're going to take a look. So self-deprecating humor and brutal honesty is a really great book.
Stop me.
I forget that. And I can't hear me, but just yes. Oh, nice. All right. So, self-deprecating humor and brutal honesty is really a feeling. Today, we take a look at a few cartoonists in history who have been able to achieve that very freedom by using the main character's syndrome. So, as you may be familiar with Robert Crumb, Robert Crumb has been the star of this comic since the 1940s. He frequently incorporates autobiographical elements into his work, exploring his personal life experiences and worldwide view through his characters and narratives. One such example is Toad a Chewing, maybe you're familiar with it, which is centered on the various stages of marijuana consumption, depicted through the artist's perspective. In November 2019, the original artwork was auctioned in Dallas and was sold for approximately $575,000. That's right, setting a record for an underground comic artist. The piece was purchased within 7 minutes of bidding, what then contributes to its enduring appeal among collectors. Is it the relatability of the subject matter, or perhaps the bizarre yet hysterical facial expressions rendered in Crumb's signature style that have established the comic strip as a cult classic? The comic strip Kathy, created by Kathy Geisweit, was published for 34 years. It centered on the life of a career woman navigating the everyday challenges of eating, work, relationships, and her relationship with her mother, or as humorously described by her in one strip, the 4 basic guilt groups. Particularly noteworthy is the way in which personal experiences were drawn upon to explore broader societal issues concerning women, many of which continue to hold relevance today. This leads us to another timeless subject, family. The Family Circus comic strip created by the Keane family. I'm so privileged to be sitting next to Jeff Keane here, has been cherished by American readers since the 1960s. What continues to resonate with audiences is the honesty portrayed in their everyday conversations, dialogue that is not only humorous, but has over time been rendered almost provoked. A combination of sincere reflections, relatable emotions, and gentle humor is conveyed, contributing to the strip's lasting appeal. Across generations, these simple yet insightful moments within the Keane household have been regarded as reflections of the warmth and complexity inherent in family. Alison Bechdel's comic strip Dykes to Watch Out For was published from 1983 to 2008. I'm like, oh, I had a chance to meet her yesterday. It was distinguished not only in its use of the main character syndrome and self-deprecating humor, but also by its role as one of the earliest sustained representations of lesbians in popular culture. The lives of a diverse group of characters were depicted as they navigated urban life, engaged in conversations about events, political issues, and the evolving nature of lesbian culture. Widely recognized for its impact, the strip has come to be regarded as one of the most successful and long-running queer comic strips. So, having examined the influence of main character syndrome in several historic comic strips today, the discussion will now be continued by Sonya, who will explore the motivations behind the practice of self-representation among the panelists present. Thank you, Sonya.
Thanks, Shuchi. So, we're going to start out talk about the short. Thank you. Start your talking. First question, we're going to talk about the themes of our work. Like each of us, since we're generally talking about ourselves, we all have our particular points of view and the things that interest us the most. So we're just going to go down the line, starting with Eddie. If you want to first tell us first some of the major themes of your chronic collectors.
Major theme really comes down to, honestly, love and joy. Someone who read my comic strip basically described it as a love letter to my wife. And despite all of the arguments or fights or funny, goofy situations that go on in my comic strip, it really just comes down to love, joy, and friendship among myself, my wife, and my friends.
I was expecting you to say comic books and collecting, and I
don't know. There's a major part of it, of course, but really the main theme, the main star of the comic strip is really my relationship with my wife.
She's right there.
She's right here.
We're in that. Yeah, what about you, Jules? Tell me what's going on in your content.
Oh boy, so much stuff. Okay, so in Love Jules, I mainly just started doing it just to blow off steam, and but I would just write about like stuff that would happen to me and stuff that I thought was funny, stuff that I thought about, things that I would read about, and then I eventually got to the idea that it's tough love that is a major theme in the story. I mean, it's love. I mean, the logo literally has knives in it. It's got the word love in it. So it's like it's love, but it's gonna hurt. So, but then I also got really into surfing, like really so much into surfing that I compiled all of my surfer tricks into one book over here. And after that, I was like, I could just write comics talking about how to surf, stuff that's important to know about surfing. Like nobody asked for this, and I don't care because I just want to talk about surfing. Being angry at the world is nice and fun. It's good to get off steam like that, but I realized that I had more to give back to the world when I started talking about stuff that mattered, like, making jokes about like climate change or how I have to update my climate change slide because new stuff happens all the time, for my presentations and stuff. Or just talking about how climate change really messes with the surf. And that's what led to my day job on Mark Trails, really caring about the environment so much that you're willing to stick your face in it and roll around in it and, possibly get stung by a stingray. Talk about that later.
What's the love part? Tell me more about the love for what?
Love of humanity, love of the world. I want us all to be free. I want us all to have the resources we need to be happy. I want us all to be creative. I want us all to be able to just live the lives we want to live without somebody upstairs telling us how we need to be living our lives. That is the love part. I love you all enough to tell you the truth. Surfing and environmentalism also comes up quite a lot.
To keep this home to what? Okay, yeah, it's up.
I think the major theme. So I kind of started putting myself because it's just to express my pop culture and politics and stuff. Mainly, it's just trying to get companies to send me free things.
What kind of things you get?
I've had a couple free T-shirts, so it's pretty kind of who's about. You get lots of brown idea.
And I really expected you to say like pop culture, that sort of thing. Yeah, so much of your stuff has like used.
Yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of my work initially came from doing concert posters and stuff, festival posters and etc. So yeah, through that, I just developed a lot of a following of music fans. So I just kind of use my platform to talk shit on the Doors.
And what about movies? You tend to talk about movies a lot too, like you kind of.
Yeah, I think I pretend to see more movies via my comic strip than I actually go to see. But yeah, I did one recently about seeing Long Legs, and it's just me sat in the movie theater, and then in the end I'm leaving and going, his legs are not long. So, but that was true. I did go see Long Legs.
Didn't work his legs that long.
They were going a lot, but I didn't understand the film of me.
It makes good content. Yeah. So we are to be touched about how Jeff, Family Circus is your family.
Yes.
Tell us about the kids and.
Well, the main theme of Family Circus has become basically family relationships, projected through my family. Growing up, my dad started the cartoon. It was a much more humorous cartoon, more gags. And there was a certain point in 1968 when he did a cartoon that actually is the one in the far left-hand side on the bottom, with Jeffy coming out and saying, "I don't feel so good, I think I need a hug." And the reaction that he got from readers was something that surprised him. It didn't surprise my mom, but she encouraged him to maybe go that route a little bit more and keeping the family into real situations and real touch in the way that you can observe and find the humor in the normal situations that families would be in. And that's really what made Family Circus into what it is because people can read it and they can relate to it and maybe find some humor in it once they've separated themselves from mostly situations with mommy and daddy and the kids are not particularly funny at the time, but they touch you in a way that eventually the cartoon became more about a heartwarming or tug at the throat type of situation that has made it stand out on the comics page.
Do you want to talk about some like the faith-based aspects of it?
Well, faith-based what basically came from our family. We grew up Catholic. My dad was very Catholic. I wouldn't say all of us stayed Catholics, but he never stressed necessarily what religion we were, but was always, it had priests, but he would also do cartoons about Hanukkah or and look at it from the perspective of that. And the main key was to never preach to people. If the kids were at church, the comment would be something about, I don't enjoy when the priest gets up and does his commercial or whatever, or something like that, as opposed to a stress of God himself. But the kids, certainly, we have them praying. We have Granddad up in heaven, which certainly is an iconic part of Family Circus, one of the many things. But that was our family. My dad's father, when he started the cartoon, was no longer living, and so that's why Granddad was up in heaven. His mother was Grandma, and she was living. My mom's family was from Australia, so they were always said, well, we've got to travel to go see them, and which they would. They get in the car and they travel now. Of course, they couldn't get in the travel and go to Australia, get the car, go to Australia, but that's the way he would incorporate our family into the cartoon, and we would recognize it. When we would see it, he would have certain situations that were very relevant to me in my life. When I graduated from USC in 1980, the cartoon that's right there saying, "Can I go outside for a couple of whiles?" appeared on the day I graduated from USC. He eventually gave me the original and wrote to Jeff, who's been going to school for a lot of whiles. So it was always sort of a shout out and a saying hi to me. And it wasn't just to me, but my other brothers and sisters also.
Right, it's a message.
Yeah,
It's for public consumption, but
yeah, but I got a little hidden message in there too.
so cute. And what about you, Shuchi? Tell me a little bit about what you do.
So I went to school with Sonya, and a part of the reason why I started my college trip was actually because I was getting good. So I did come out from a place of where it was all about revenge, like I can do this. But the second part to that is that after a while, it gave me so much joy. And I started also liking to the fact that there were so many people in my life that mattered so much and were inviting me on this journey as a cartoonist, that I wanted to kind of reach out to them and say, thank you for doing this for me. And I think over a period of time, like Eddie said, I think I want to make my comics more about sharing that joy that I have in my daily life. And it makes me really happy that it is trying to find the funny in everyday small things. So a comic that appears very often on, in my panels, there's always a talk about traffic in Atlanta and how there are mammoths on the street. And actually, it was really neat to kind of pass time in traffic.
Or whatever mountains.
Like the animals, the big SUV truck.
That's what I'm talking
And so it's just really funny. And then I have to put it out there and people to meet and boy, am I glad for that, not to people find it related with it. So I think today it's more fun. I think that's a funny thing that happened is that maybe nobody notices, but I'm like right there at the creek, like watching.
So it's, I guess, what I'm picking up on with all of us here is mostly we're talking about the things that really matter to us, like personally. Like I feel like love is kind of even like the thing that we love the most. A lot of it is like family, friends, stuff we want to put out there, free shirts we want to get. The most important things that
Free shirts.
I love free shirts, and then what that for? Well, that leads me to my next question. I was going to ask, like, why are we drawing comics that specifically based on ourselves? I feel like we're all getting to the things that we care about. But does anyone have anything they want to test out? Another reason why it has to be yourself and not a fictional character that starts in a comic?
Better than anyone else, that's for sure.
Right. But you could make a starring character named Jim Bob or something, and it would be the same thing. So why did you specifically?
Great question. I have no idea why I did it, but at this point, it's been 13 years of it being my comic strip. I'm very just do it.
Anybody else? Do you have like another response? It has to be you.
Okay, in my case, the reason I even started Surfer Comics in the first place is because something out in the surf happened to me that was so bonkers and so insane that I absolutely had to go really write about it. And it had to be me, and it's literally my story. I'm like, no, this happened to me. No, you don't understand. This thing is insane, and it happened to me anyway.
What was the thing?
Okay. Okay. Long story short, I'm out there and it's one of my first times surfing, like maybe first 3 or 4 times surfing, and I'm out there and some guy, he's being really annoying. He's like, hey man, I don't like you hanging out here. Can you paddle down over there? Because you almost got in my way. Oh no, wait for it. The punchline is coming. So he's just being annoying, and he's like hoping that I would paddle in a direction other than where he is sitting because of reasons I don't know. He claimed that, Jules, because what he claimed was I almost got in this way and I almost, ran into him. And I'm like, whatever. So I just disregarded, and in like 20 seconds flat, before I can even turn around, I see this guy there was a surfer who came behind him, sitting there, running his mouth. You do not have time to be running your mouth on the surf. I'm being surfing. Hammer, always looking around to see if a surfer is coming at your head. Because literally there was a wave coming behind us. I look behind me. There's this guy on his board, almost takes the annoying guy's head off. Almost takes that guy's head off. And I'm like, what? It took no time at all for me to get my justice in that moment. And even better than that, I was like, oh snap, I could ride that way. And then I rode it all the way back to shore. So like, this story was so amazing. I needed to go home that night and talk about it because I knew I was going to forget about it with all my other short stories. So yeah, sometimes it's something that happens to me specifically, and it just has to be trained my ways or my legs. It's the music, I'm
going to start surfing so I have a better answer.
It opens up your brain.
My second, for me, I don't know why it has to be me in it, because half the time it's stuff I agree with, half the time it's stuff I don't agree with, half the time it's like thought I've had taken to like, reducto ad absurdum, just like the illogical conclusion. So I find myself getting in trouble a lot with the thing that it's like, well, I'm like, oh, that's such a minor example. I did a comment about how I don't like after all spritzes, but I do. And so I had just, the entire country initially yelling at me with comments. I'm not liking that. And it's like, but I do. So I don't know why it had to be
That's the thing that I see in your work. You tend to antagonize your audience.
Yeah, and antagonize my audience, again, with stuff even I didn't agree with. So that perhaps be sitting on a couch discussing missing somebody other than an owl, because I don't want to draw myself in these situations. And but are you so mad?
You're sitting there, shaking his finger, dry, or like David Lane to yourself.
Yeah, it's especially when I know it's going to annoy people, but I feel more confident in that one as a state I agree with. You know what I mean? Like when I'm talking about how much I don't like music of the Doors, it's like I know this upset people, but that's funny. I'm speaking my truth. Yeah, again, when it's about how again, well, it's a capital sprint and straight. as I'm drinking one, writing about how disgusting as it's like, why am I doing this? So
Does that surprise you that other people feel the same way?
yeah, and then people agree with me. They're like, "No, he's got a point." Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know my audience.
Well, so you're kind of like making things up, like you're telling like your point of view, but it's also kind of fictional.
Yeah. So, and I've had to introduce, because some of the statements I made, I don't want to attribute to people in my life. So I have a fictional foil / sidekick called Mr. Biscuits. He really means just over a lot better child. Yeah, he's in the story. Yeah, there you go. He's the checkout clerk and forward thing there. And so, yeah, sometimes he's the good guy in the story, sometimes he's the bad guy. Yeah, it's just.
Well, that's one thing that I noticed kind of in all of our work as I was like researching this panel, we all sort of have like fictional characters that we talk to or appear sometimes. When I shoot you, I'm going to start with you here, because sometimes you're talking with your cats and you want to tell me about like the conversations you have with cats.
You know what I mean? Like you're mixing. I didn't say it out, and I feel like we all do.
Well, mostly because like when you're drawing, like when I draw by myself, my cats are in the room. And so there's no one ready to have a conversation with. And so I feel like we can run an entire conversation and then say nothing. They just have to accept my truth.
Do you ever feel like putting words that they're not? So,
I do.
yeah, you do, right?
I mean, they usually are like that.
Yeah. Is it that you're picking up on what you think they're thinking about you, or are you thinking about yourself, just putting it in their heads?
I think it's like the self-dialogue that goes on. I don't really find that really...
They don't think much of you?
No,
Let's shut that
I'm
back.
not really setting that gap to you.
Yeah. And Jeff, like in Family Circus, and well, there being
I actually feel, serious. There really are not a lot of fictional characters in Family Circus. Well, they might be fictional to other people, but a lot of times I know who I'm writing about, or who my dad wrote about. Everybody knows that the Not Me and I Don't Know and the Invisible Gremlins are actually real characters. So I don't know what you're referring to.
oh, that's what I was asking about. Invisible Gremlins. Like,
Yeah. Well, yes, clearly that was something that all families have, that invisible gremlin in there. So are they really fictional characters, or are they?
And Jules, you have in your comic, you have a Blackbird.
Yes, Blackbird. Okay, so Blackbird kind of started as a conversational shorthand, because like I would have conversations with my friends, but because some of the material of the conversation would be really salty or like really kind of controversial, I don't want to drag my friend into my nonsense. All right, so I just decided to draw a big black bird. It places the person to have a conversation with. And that just kind of became the vibe for a while. Because remember, I'm a freelancer. I was putting alone for a while. So I've got nothing but myself to scream at. So this is like my this dark side of me that, that just is, he just sees the darker side of the world. All that dark side. Like I just gave it a name and gave it a little bird shape. That's all. We've all got that little dark voice inside of us that tells us, friendly, do things that are more initiative than we should be. But, that's what I gave voice to, and that's what Blackbird has become. And now Blackbird is a crucial co-host on my World's Worst podcast that we're on our YouTube. So
you're spending your friend there.
Yeah, he's my friend, because we should all be friends with ourselves. We should all be friends with that dark little voice inside. See, I know he's not your enemy, he's your friend. So, we don't be friends with that guy. And it's always nice that little character to rip off of, because, let's be real, comedy just by yourself is very, very tricky to pull off. But comedy, when you've got somebody to play off of, especially somebody who might have different personality quirks than yourself, see, that is what makes things interesting here. It's like that Laurel and Hardy effect. You got the straight guy, and you got the wacky guy.
And I also noticed, like, mixing fiction into your work too. I noticed you had a whole storyline about you getting it, like Superman. Is that it?
It was because I was extremely thirsty over Miguel from Spider-Man, the other thingy that came out a couple of years ago. I was like, yes, I instantly marry this man, but it's okay. I unmarried in my comments. It's fine. But I'm just like, look, I want to manifest the love that I want, damn it. I'm like, and I'm like, okay, my dating life's not working. I'm just going to instantly marry Miguel from Spider-Man. It's fine. And I did that for exactly 4 scripts, and I ended up with a simple little gag, and we called it a day, and it was a lot of fun. And, I sometimes talk about my dating escapades in Love Jules, but I have to admit, again, very veiled ways, because I don't want to be dragging other people into my mess. So I have to be, you're drawing me a fictional character, or a character like nothing like the person that I was talking about, just like, I want to talk about my story while also protecting other people's privacy.
But that's it. What? For Ed, that's opposite from like you, because you're actually drawing it right.
Oh, yeah, I don't care about other people's privacy. In fact, most people I know say, when are you going to put me in the strip? When are you going to have me, have you in 1-4? When am I going to come back? So, again, I got like skewering people that I know. So people are always bugging me like, no, I want to be in it.
That story that you're doing now about the Superman issue, is that?
No, Spider-Man.
I keep saying Spider-Man, Ranus the Spider-Man. But it's like you have like your best friend in that one. Is that he's the real person?
He's based on a real person. Yeah. In the comic strip, my character has 2 best friends, and they're kind of a mashup of 3 friends that I've had since high school. And I've kind of just mashed them up into 2 characters because it's just easier to manage 2 characters rather than 3. But in that one, it's a long form story that revolves around a copy of Amazing Fantasy 15, the very first appearance of Spider-Man, that I find at a yard sale for literally pennies. And also a sweet old couple that lives down the street.
This really happened?
No, it didn't happen. It's like you have one. But my wife was so appalled that I ripped off these 4 old people and knew it, and she demands that I go back and get it back. But I want to have. I asked her, can I at least just have one day where I can have the comic so I can say at least and unfortunately all kinds of horrible things happen and I lose the book, and it's a whole quest to try to get it back because I made this promise to my wife that I'm get it back in 24 hours. And so it's my friend and I going all around the city trying to find this comic and get it back. And my wife thinks that because I'm out all night thinking, she's thinking that I'm cheating on her. Are out all night too, trying to catch you with this mythical other woman. So, but it's actually the first time that I'm doing a long form story with my characters, because for the over a decade I've been doing my comic strip, it's just been kind of like a one and done gag strip, kind of like the Sunday Funnies. And then I just had these ideas of wanting to do long form stories, and I finally dove in to do it. So, and you can read it. It's being serialized on my Substack. You can go and read it there at Collector Stack on Substack.
Are you going to focus more on long-form stories at this point?
I would love to do both, but you know what? Time doesn't allow. My plan was I'm going to work on this long-form story, and when it's done, I'm going to put it in print. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to continue doing my weekly comic strip that I put up every week. No, I can't. It's just too much work. So I'm focusing on one thing right now, and eventually I'll probably go back and forth. Because it's fun doing one, and then it's fun doing the other. So
we've talked about themes of our work, talked about why we're doing this, talk about fantasy element. I want to bring this over to the audience now. If anyone has any questions, this would be a good time to guest sir. First, you have that.
Okay, so if your comic strip character, you or version of you could ask you, the real life version of you, for advice, or would you listen to them?
Yeah. Would you listen to yourself?
Yeah.
Are they giving me advice? Or like to me, that's like I'm giving them advice.
Well, okay, if they would give you advice, would you listen to them?
That's what the advice is.
It's easier. Advice for fictional.
Would you take this
idea?
Would I take my own advice? Of course I would. Like egomaniac. Of course, like if I told you something like, "You got this, girl. I believe you," and then that's it. Like, of course I.
If my character is telling me, do what your wife says and shut up, I would things advice.
He's got points.
Yeah, I don't know if I would. I stop here recurring joke every so often. I guess it would be the real bee's voice coming through, but sometimes if I do something that's too popular on Instagram, whatever, I'll do a stroke where it's my lawyer, it's calling me telling you that I need to lose some audience, and then I'll do like a really niche joke that's just to myself. Cut it up, and it works. And he has followers. Outside the Lindy Ford came in, I complimented on him on telling him I think he draws the best Steve Curtis in the world, but I think he's probably the only person in this ring who cares. Yeah, I care.
I was tweeting when I saw that here at the you did the side of the which theater, which Roxy, the Roxy theater. I was really pleased to see Frank Zappa up there. You know, my favorites. Like some of the favorite work. I'd like to see which others.
Like, I mean, that's every legendary act that is played there in the 50 years in the history of the Roxy in West Hollywood, and quotes I indeed myself background. So that's like it.
As far as like readership goes for all of you, do you ever get like, what kind of reactions do you get from readers? Do you ever get like pushback? I mean, I know I'm moved to the top that guys who like to antagonize his readers, but does anyone else ever get like messages from people about how relatable it is because you're being personal, or do you get like negative? Anyone?
I have a pretty good story because we talked about this on the panel yesterday. For the most part, I get very positive feedback. That there's one time years ago, I was contacted by Stan Lee's office. They wanted to do an interview with me that had it run on his website. And they also asked me, hey, can you do one of your comic strips with Stan Lee doing a cameo in it with you and your wife? And we'll run that on the social media when the interview goes live. And so I did a comic strip of my wife and I at a comic book convention, and I'm in line to Stan Lee signing with my coveted Avengers #4, the return of Captain America and the Silver Age. And I hand it to my wife and I say, can you hold on to this? I have to go to the bathroom and be right back. And while I'm gone, Stan Lee is walking down the line, for the signing, and with this big Excelsior, and my wife has no idea who he is. And he grabs the comic out of her hand and signs it, gives it back. And my wife is just incensed, like, oh my God, this crazy old man came by and scribbled all over in his comic. And she's furiously trying to get it off his book. And I come back and say, oh my God, what did you do with my comic? And this crazy old man came by and scribbled all over it, but I got most of it off. And that straight went up on Stan Lee's social media, and people just raked into her. They were like, they were vicious. I tried to keep it clean, but they basically said, like, that bee needs to die.
It was clear that it was your wife in the strip.
Yeah, but I mean, lose a lot of people, obviously.
There are very unmarried people chronically
seeing like very graphically and lots of persuades just dug into her, and I was just mortified. Like, oh my God! And I didn't tell her. I didn't tell her the strip went up. I had to hide it from her. I can't let her. This is horrible. I must take my wife's on it. And finally, after a couple of weeks, she did see it, and just scrolling through, reading them. I'm like, oh my God, she's reading them. And she just started laughing. It's you fanboys, you're just nerds. And I was.
Anybody else have a fun story about a reaction?
Did one and like,
I
remember like this one when I just moved to Georgia. I was just taken by the idea of having like rocking chair everywhere. We don't like rocking chairs. They have like rocking chairs on their patio. And it's kind of like, it's always like this like really sad like death scene where they're going in the rocking chair. Yes, I'm like, oh, it's like that. One page. Something to thought about. I mean, they did not invest, but my time about that. And so then they kept sending me videos of all of them rocking on the rock chair. You can't talk to me. I did like the fact that they were rocking chair. Right? I said, you can't drink a glass of wine. On the rocks. And they didn't care. What I would say, I think it's a good emphasis like you rocking chair. And they all had up in their face. So I just worked no time feet. Yeah. Rocking chair. Then I stood up. But like it's just like this thing where I don't put in the solid, which I want to do now, but in a way you'll adapt. Unless another get off.
Yeah, I think we have another audience question.
Yeah, question here. When you're pulling inspiration from a story and you have a family member or friend that it involves, what do you do if they either don't like what they read or if they want to have some sort of control over the narrative of what you say? Too late.
I hope that because
The question really is like how you handle that relationship moving forward.
that person would have been covered with a black bird, and that would have been the end. Yeah, so like,
Oh, you talked about Panama.
yeah, well, that's the whole point of the character, Blackbird. You just stand in for anybody, and you have to talk, and then everyone wants to violate anybody's identity, you know?
So you just kind of move on.
Yeah.
I just have a question. Yeah. So, you could kind of an argument that between I with yourself in it is it's kind of like a journal. With the journal, with your like, it's kind of fully yourself versus the comic. It's kind of more the character. I was wondering, like, how much do you see your comic self as yourself versus as a character you created?
I definitely see mine as characters I created, because the things in comic, maybe some of the funny things have actually happened in real life, or things that one of us have actually said, but a lot of it is made up because I just want to, come up with a funny gag using characters based on my wife and I and my friends. But I don't think of it as a journal or slice of life. I just think of it as a humor strip, and the characters happen to be based on myself and real people.
Mine is the opposite.
Yeah.
It really is. I can follow basically what our family was doing in life by reading the cartoon. It's not literally exactly what we were doing, but I know when the cartoon goes on vacation to San Francisco, I can remember doing that. And then my dad would do cartoons about it, or something that happened in our life. But my sister got married. There was a cartoon with Dolly, just saying, here comes the bride, wearing, the big sheet around her. So when I'm doing it, I am actually thinking of my mom, my dad, my brothers and sister.
Yeah, I'm the same, though I don't always agree with what I'm saying. How it will be, if I'm doing a convention somewhere, it will be about being at a convention. If I'm traveling, it'll be about traveling, etc. So I can it really is like a journal or a diary, again. Well, and also a bit like a Twitter, you know what I mean? Like you're throwing thoughts out, whether you agree with them or not. We throwing ideas out.
I just want to say, I do think of Jules as a bit of a journal. It's a journal of sorts, because I can look back at the past comics and go, oh yeah, that was when I was still hanging out with those people, or oh yeah, that was that one time I hung out in San Francisco. I don't know if I get it. I recently made a comic about Portland, though, because I wanted to double that as like a, hey, here's a publicity, comic about this thing in Portland that's really cool. And what's more Portland than that? Having a web comic advertise your state for me. Hello, it's very, very fortunate.
The solid one stuff question.
Yes.
Your last question. I'll return.
Oh, yes. Had so many questions. We've asked Tori answered most of them. But yeah, do you find it's hard with originality these days? So since it's your own story, people can't accuse you, stealing anything.
That doesn't stop some people. Even she was me of stealing stuff. I'm like, what did I steal? I haven't made those comics yet, but
I also been accused of stealing anything for your comic.
For my comic, there have been just offhand comments people have made. So, she must have gotten that from, some other person or something like that. Like, it's just, cheesy, it's industry silliness. But it's just, I don't care if people accuse me of stealing. Stealing what? I'm just me. It's literally faster for me to just be me than steal anything. My brain just moves so fast, and literally the only way to slow it down is by throwing myself in the Pacific Ocean. So, I don't have time. I will use reference photos for my day job, because, you have to draw technical looking animals and, make sure people understand, oh, this is what the animal looks like. But, for Love Jules, I'll reference stuff, but I won't even have to say, I will direct homage. I am definitely talking about this thing. I think I did one of Spider-Man where I did a riff on one of J. Scott Campbell's covers, because they're absolutely ridiculous. I'm like, let me make a complete, even more ridiculous joke about this cover. But yes, I had to actually reference the cover to Ron, so people will know, oh, that's the thing you're talking about. I just like to redraw the cover so that it looks like it lives in my comic, other than it looks like something crappy just pasted in. It's aesthetic. I can't.
One time I just redrew cow tools from the far side, but with myself, then labeled it ink tools. So yeah, no, just
Luigi does clever aliens too.
oh yeah, I do the Nathan Pyle Strange Planet. I just do my own version of this. But
Have you ever met?
no, I haven't. It's I keep my house be blocked. Just draw some iPhone with the Riley observant internet aliens, and everyone's always disappointed when they turn up. And yeah, so that's it. That's it too. But other than that, I don't think. I think when people see that, they don't accuse me of stealing. They know what I'm doing. They do go, "Oh, it looks the beef between you and Nathan Pyle," and there is a beef, but yeah, it's one side.
But if they turns into a real beef one.
Yes, yes. I think he's far too famous to notice what I'm doing. I've been accused once. On my books, on my print volumes, I usually homage something to do with comics, like a famous cover, but I changed it around a bit. And on my sixth book, which is this one here, I did an homage to the cover of Harvey P. Carr's American Splendor #1, and just changed characters to be me and my two friends. And when I posted the picture online of the cover as a preview, I had a lot of people giving me a hard time saying, "No, you ripped off Harvey P. Carr. I hope you're paying P. Carr widow's money to that cover." And then Harvey P. Carr's widow, Joyce Gradner, jumped in and said, "No, you guys are all wrong. That's fair use. It's an homage. Harvey would love that."
Yeah.
So,
Yep, you might want. So we're at the very end of our time. Before we go, I'm going to go down each of you. Tell us where people here can find you either today or online or whatever you want to promote. Let's start with Shuchi and we'll cover them.
All right. I find on Instagram, it's called Shuchita_Mishra, or like, it's Shuchita_ and so long.
Well, I do want to point out that we've had this QR code the whole time, and if anyone goes to that address, we've got links to all of our work there, but anything you want to talk about now?
Yeah, then you can see my daily comics over there. I'm done for the summer. I would go home and spend time with my cats, and that's where I'll be, so you only catch me on time.
Hi, Joe.
You could find Family Circus in this thing that you can get. You can kind of find that you open it up and it has a whole comic section in it. It's called the newspaper. Yeah, they used to have a lot around, but now they're hard to find. And then Comics Kingdom, King Features website.
And if people want to find you here today?
If they want to find me here, I don't know what thing was it, the National, is it 1307, the NC National Cartoonist Society booth. I'm there with some others.
I'm getting Family Circus prints from Jeff. Luke?
I'm online at Lukey McGarry, and I'm at table H02 in the exhibit table section today.
Jules,
Great. I am trying something really new by trying something really, really old. So just like 2009, I'm posting all of my updates on my blog. It's at just www.lovejules.com. I'm passing out business cards. If you'd like to take a business card and have a little free piece of artwork to take with you, because it's real neat to look at. Also, that I'm posting on my blog updates to my animated pilot that I'm putting together. Hopefully I'll be animatic done by this fall, and then you will get to see even more insane storytelling, and except in this form of long form animation. It's about teen girl surfer revenge whale story. Stay tuned. Love Hurricane Vendetta. Yeah,
what's that?
Yeah, you can find my comic strip on my website, which is collectorscomic.com, and the long-form comic that I'm serializing, which is called Untold Tales of Collectors, is on my Substack, which you can get at the Collector Stack on Substack. And I do have a few copies of my print books. If anyone wants to check it out, I'd be happy to give you a copy after this.
And I am Sonya Saturday. You can find my comic strip, Greatest Thing You've Ever Seen in Your Life, on Substack, sonyasaturday.substack.com. And I'm also here for the rest of the day at the same booth as Jeff, National Cartoonist Society booth 1307. I want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank our panelists for being here. I'm sure. Thank you all.